Hi, good day everyone. I'm Mr. Mark James Abonales. I will be the first presenter of our report about the electrochemical energy. So here is the overview of our presentation. What is electrochemical energy? The redox reactions, the different types of cells, the specific chemical example of chemical energy that will convert into electrical energy. Example of product or invention that produced by electrochemical energy, the advantages and the disadvantages, the cell potential, Gibbs free energy, and the Nernst equation. Okay. So electrochemical energy. So energy is the capacity or the ability to do work. There are two forms of energy, which is the kinetic and the potential energy, and we have already studied it in our elementary or high school years. There are also different types of energy. One of it is the electrochemical energy, which is particularly our topic for today. So first, let's define ano nga ba ang electrochemical energy. So electrochemical energy is the conversion of chemical energy into electrical energy or vice versa. So this is the type of an energy wherein we have an electrical energy, and that certain electrical energy is converted to chemical energy, or also the chemical energy is converted to electrical energy, or simply the vice versa. So electrochemical energy is related to fuel cells, photoelectrochemical, and energy storage systems such as batteries. So batteries are invented year 1800 by an Italian physicist named Mr. Alessandro Volta. Batteries are very useful to us. We can commonly see it everywhere, from our TV remotes, from the automotive cars, they have also batteries. From the gadgets, such as these tablets, these phones, or these laptops that we use for our studies. Okay. So let's move on to the redox reactions. So redox reactions is the shortened term for reduction and oxidation reaction. So redox reaction is the reaction that happens during the production of electrochemical energy, which is called the redox reaction, which includes the transfer of electrons. These redox reactions, we have already studied it in our senior high school chemistry class. So I hope that you still remember this topic, since this is very important to electrochemical energy. Okay, so here we need to be able to identify which actually is the oxidation and the reduction reaction. So here we have our iron and our copper. So how do we know if it is the reduction reaction? The reduction occurs when a species gains electrons and decreases its oxidation number. So if you take a look at our copper here, so here is the copper. Copper has a symbol of capital C and letter U. So here our copper has a 2 plus charge, and then nung nasa product side na siya, naging 0 na yung charge niya. So meaning from positive 2 to 0, it actually gained electron. Ito yung electron. Kumbaga, nagdagdag tayo ng dalawang electron dun sa reactant side and decrease yung oxidation number niya. Kasi from positive 2, naging 0. So a decrease in an oxidation number means that particular species gained electron undergoing a reduction reaction. And another one for our oxidation. Oxidation occurs when a species loses electrons and decreases its oxidation number. So here on the other hand, yung ating iron. So here's our iron. It has a symbol of capital F and letter E. Siya yung ating oxidation. Why? Because bakit siya naging oxidation natin? Because from a charge of 0, it went to a positive 2 charge. So, and a positive 0 to positive 2 charge incurs an increase in our oxidation number. Therefore, our iron is the one that underwent the oxidation process. So, ganito, kung ang isa ay reduction, automatically yung isa naman ay oxidation. Since partner sila, hindi pwedeng parehas na oxidation, same as hindi rin dapat parehas na reduction. dapat partner sila, reduction then oxidation. Another thing you should also able to identify which is the oxidizing agent and which is the reducing agent. Okay, so here, when we say reducing agent, this is the ion or the molecule or the element that donates the electron. And when we say oxidizing agent naman, this is the ion or the molecule that accepts the electrons. So, andito siya. As you can see, yung itong Ra and letter OA. So, here's the key term. Whatever is the species that underwent oxidation, that is actually a reducing agent. Kasi siya yung nag-cause para ma-reduce yung other element or ion. Same as the reduction. So, the one that underwent the reduction, it is actually our oxidizing agent. Since siya yung nag-cause para yung other ion or molecule to be oxidized. So, para partners, pag oxidation yung nangyari doon, siya yung reducing agent. While ganun din naman sa other side. If reduction yung nangyari doon, siya yung ating oxidizing agent. Okay. So next, we have here an acronym for we can easily understand. We can easily recall what is the redox reaction. So here we have Geroa and the Leora. So the Geroa, gain of electrons, reduction, oxidizing agent. So yung reduction process, siya yung nag-gain ng electrons, siya din yung ating oxidizing agent. While yung yung Leora naman, yung oxidation process, siya yung nag-loss ng electrons, siya nag-give up ng electrons, siya din yung ating reducing agent. Okay? So now let's move on to our types of cells. Number one, we have our voltaic or galvanic cell. So meaning this particular reaction generates current. So parang typical batteries na pag nilagyan natin yung ating gadgets ng batteries, nagkakaroon ng power. The batteries in our cell phones is actually an example of voltaic or galvanic cell. So ganito yung nangyayari sa loob ng batteries. So we have here our zinc in our anode side, ito nasa left side, and a copper in the cathode side, in our right side. So ito pong zinc na ito, which is in a solid form, actually magiging zinc ion siya having a 2+ charge. Ngayon, since naging 2+ charge siya, ibig sabihin, yung ating anode, which is zinc, siya yung magproproduce ng electrons. Ito po yung electrons, yung dalawang letter E dun sa ating left side. Okay? Para kailangan kasi laging equal yung charge nila. So, para maging equal, kailangan nyo mag-donate ng electrons. So, ito po yung dalawang electrons. It will pass through this wire. For example, kunyari ito po yung ating light bulb. Siya po yung dadaanan ng ating electron. So since meron tayong flow ng electrons, it will automatically generate electricity. Now, those two electrons then will pass through this wire. Itong wire na to papunta dun sa ating copper, sa ating cathode side. It will be consumed by our copper. So gagamitin nyo ng copper yung dalawang electron para ma-yield yung other copper sulfate solution or our Cu+ in an aqueous form. So usually here meron tayong salt bridge. So yung salt bridge yung nasa gitna. Itong parang color pink. This salt bridge serves as a membrane para hindi nag-short circuit yung ating reaction. So parang nag-stand siya as a harang para hindi nagkakaroon ng problem, hindi nag-short circuit yung reaction. Okay, so we have here, same lang din kanina, pinapi lang natin. Anode reaction is oxidation. Zinc atoms are oxidized to zinc with a 2+ charge. So as you can see here, from a solid zinc, naging zinc with a 2+ ion siya, and may dalawang electron dun sa ating last part of the equation. So it's an oxidation process. If you recall, oxidation means oxidation process occurs when a species loses electrons and its oxidation number increases. So eto, from oxidation number of 0, naging positive 2 siya, nag-increase yung ating oxidation number. Kaya siya yung nag-underwent ng ating oxidation process. So since zinc na, yung anode na yung ating oxidation, meaning to say yung copper natin is automatically magiging reduction. Since as you can see, meron tayong electrons, ito. And from Cu, with the 2 plus charge, naging 0. So nag-decrease yung kanyang oxidation number. That's why siya yung ating reaction. On the right side naman, ang balancing ng two half-cell reactions. So ito yung cathode sa unahan and yung anode sa lower side. So we have zinc in a solid form plus our copper which is in ionic form having a 2 plus charge. And then meron tayong zinc with also 2 plus charge in its aqueous form and our copper in our solid form. So if you take a look at this in other books or references or in internet, this will automatically simplify to this notation. Zinc, then may 1 bar, zinc with the 2 plus charge, and then may 2 bar ulit, so and so on and so forth. So itong zinc na to, yung kasunod niyang 1 bar, and then yung nasa kabila din na 1 bar, it symbolizes as the phase boundaries, okay? While yung nasa gitna naman yung ating salt bridge. So, ulitin ko lang, yung salt bridge it is the membrane or parang siya yung nagpa-prevent para hindi nag-short circuit yung ating reaction. Okay. So, let's move on to the other type of cell. So, the electrolytic cell. Another type of our cell is the electrolytic cell wherein the current drives the reaction. So, kabaliktaran siya ng ating voltaic or galvanic cell. Kasi yung galvanic cell, the reaction generates current. So dahil sa reaction, nagkakaroon ng current, which is the reason kaya nagkakaroon ng power such as pagpapailaw ng light bulbs. Okay, while yung electrolytic cell naman, dapat magkaroon muna ng current yung solution para mag-proceed yung ating chemical reaction. So electrolytic cells are the one that are supplied by an outside source of electrons, which allows reactant-favored redox reactions to occur. So dito meron tayong non-spontaneous reaction, meaning kailangan muna ng outside source of electricity para mag-perform yung ating reaction. So, when we say spontaneous, ang galvanic cell po natin is spontaneous. It means hindi niya kailangan ng outside source of energy or outside charge of energy para mag-function yung process. Automatically, magpa-process na yung buong yun doon sa ating galvanic cell. While doon naman sa electrolytic cell, which is the non-spontaneous reaction, yung non-spontaneous, kailangan muna ng charge ng outside source of electricity para mag-function yung buong process. Okay? I hope you understand. So as I said kanina, kabaliktaran siya ng galvanic cell. Kasi yung galvanic cell, yung anode niya is our zinc, while yung cathode niya is our copper. While dito naman sa electrolytic cell, ang ating anode is yung copper, while yung cathode naman is yung iron. Okay, so kabaliktaran sila talaga. It means yung electrons nanggagaling dun sa copper, papunta dun sa iron. Okay, so thank you. That's my part. Here's Miss Kay Bernardo for the continuation. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. My name is Karen Bernardo, and here is my part. Chemical converted into electrical energy. First, what is chemical energy? Chemical energy is the energy of chemical substances that is released when they undergo a chemical reaction and transform into other substances. For example, yung chemical is yung pagkain. Kapag kinain natin yung pagkain, pag na-adapt na natin sa katawan natin yung sustansya, doon lang tayo magkakaroon ng energy para humakbo, maglakad, magkakaroon tayo ng gana kasi nag-convert na yung pagkain sa katawan natin. Ganun din nangyayari kapag ang chemical energy is nag-convert into electricity. Sa pamamagitan ng motor, magkakaroon tayo ng sounds, ng light, sa mga bagay, kagaya ng TV. And kapag ang electrical energy, kapag ang chemical energy nag-convert into kinetic energy sa pamamagitan ng gasolina, aandar yung kotse. Ganun din sa mechanical energy. Kapag yung chemical energy nag-convert sa mechanical energy, sa pamamagitan din ng gasolina, yung space shuttle is maglo-launch siya. Ganun yung nangyayari. Next is example of products or invention that is produced when electrochemical energy. Next is example of product or invention that produced by electrochemical energy. Number one is lithium batteries. Lithium batteries is the batteries that have metallic lithium that called anode. And the other term for lithium batteries is lithium ion battery. It referred as an intercalation batteries. The word intercalation means to insert. So kapag may isang bagay tayo, like for example, yung remote, kapag nilagyan natin siya ng battery, dun lang siya gagana. Yun yung meaning ng intercalation. And the lithium batteries have four components: the cathode, anode, electrolyte, and separators. And every component is essential because it cannot function when one is missing. It means that the same ion reacts at the both anode and cathode, and they travel between with the use of liquid electrolytes. And what are the uses of these batteries? It uses in many devices, but most commonly in electronics industry because it can provide portable electricity and it can power the electronic gadgets such as mobile phones, laptop, and tablets. And for example, yung power banks natin. Kapag binuksan natin yung power bank, makikita natin sa loob ng power bank itong kulay blue na baterya. Yung nagpapatakbo ng power bank natin is itong baterya nito. And what and how do lithium batteries last? It lasts about 2 to 3 years or 300 to 500 charge cycle. And one charge cycle is from fully charged to fully discharged and fully recharged again. Depende sa paggamit natin yung tinatagal ng baterya. Kagaya sa cellphone, pwede siyang tumagal ng ilang years basta iniingatan natin yung paggamit natin sa cellphone. And what's special about a lithium batteries? It has much higher energy density than other batteries because it has 150 watt-hour of energy per kilogram compared to other batteries that have 60 to 70 watts-hour per kilogram. Kagaya nga ng sabi ko kanina, pwedeng tumagal yung cellphone natin sa pamamagitan ng lithium battery. Depende to sa pag-charge natin. Mas mataas din kasi ang density ng lithium batteries na ginagamit sa cellphone natin. Lalo na sa panahon na ngayon. Mas nag-improve yung paggawa ng mga cellphones natin. And there's a difference between lithium batteries and non-lithium batteries. Because lithium batteries have a shelf life up to 4 times longer than lithium-ion batteries and also much cheaper and easier to make. And alam niyo ba na ang lithium batteries ay ban sa mga airplanes because it can also produce dangerous heat levels, cause ignition, short circuit, and cause inextinguishable fires. Pinapayagan lang siya kapag sa hand carry, pero yung i-stack ng baggage mo sa loob ng airplane, hindi siya pwede. Next is a capacitor. Capacitor is also known as condenser. And why capacitor is called condenser? Because condenser was associated with it because it was supposed to condense the electric side. And the meaning of capacitor is a device that stores electrical energy in an electrical field. The primary use of capacitor is for electronic circuits to block the direct current while allowing the alternating current to pass. And capacitor is also for storing electrical energy. The effect of capacitor is known as capacitance. And capacitor holds The positive and the negative energy on two separated plates is separated by an insulator. Why do we need capacitors? Capacitors are useful to reduce the voltage pulsation when the high voltage is applied to the parallel circuit. The capacitor is charged. How does capacitor works? The terminal connected to two metal plates separated by a non-conducting substances, and when it's activated, a capacitor quickly releases electricity in a tiny fraction of a second. Mm. How capacitors are made? It is created out of two metal plates and insulating materials called dielectric. A capacitor is a battery. No, because that ca- because battery is a device that can convert chemical energy into electrical energy, while the capacitor is an electrical component used to store energy. And batteries stores energy chemically, while capacitor stores energy physically. What devices uses capacitors? Is essentials components in wide range of electronic systems like smartphones, household electric appliances, electric vehicles, and other medical devices. And next is fuel cell. Fuel cell is an electrochemical cell that converts the chemical energy of a fuel and an oxidizing agent into electricity through a pair of redox reactions. Fuel cell is a device that generates electricity by a chemical reaction. And how fuel cell works? Fuel cell works like batteries, but they do not run down or need charging. They produce electricity and heat as long as fuel is supplied. Yung fuel cell, gumagana siya sa pamamagitan ng continuous na energy. Hindi siya kagaya ng battery na kapag naubos na yung sa loob ng yung energy sa loob ng battery is mag-i-stop na siya. Ang fuel cell, gagana lang siya kapag tuloy-tuloy yung energy na pumapasok sa kanya. And it consists of two electrodes, negative electrodes, and the positive electrodes, sandwich around an electrolytes. So, napapagitnaan yung electrolytes ng anode and the cathode. What are fuel cell used for? Fuel cell can be used in a wide range of applications like transportation, materials handling, and stationary, portable, and emergency backup powers. Hydrogen can be used in fuel cell to generate power using chemical reaction rather than combustion, producing only water and heat as byproducts. And fuel cell also used for primary and backup power for commercial, industrial, and residential buildings, and in remote or inaccessible areas. They are also used to power fuel cell vehicles like automobiles, buses, boats, motorcycle, and submarines. And it can also produce electricity continuously for as long as these inputs are supplied. Kagaya nga ng sabi ko kanina, kailangan lang niya ng continuous na energy para siya gumana. Kasi hindi siya gagana kung hindi tuloy-tuloy yung pag-supply sa kanya ng energy. And there's a difference between fuel cell and the batteries. Because fuel cell needs a continuous source of fuel and oxygen or air to sustain the chemical reaction, while the batteries needs another batteries to react with each other. Kagaya nga, yung sabi ko, yung fuel cell, kailangan niya ng continuous. Yung battery, kailangan niya ng isa pang baterya para pag nagtugma sila, dun lang sila gagana. Also, fuel cell produce electricity directly from gases of liquid fuels, such as hydrogen or hydrocarbons with only safe waste products of water or carbon dioxide. Next is the advantages and disadvantages. The advantages is low cost and non-toxic. Kasi yung lithium batteries, I mean yung mga produkto kanina na nabanggit ko is mura sila, safe sila, and hindi din sila nakakalason. Kaya pwede silang gamitin. Kaya mas sila yung pinipiling gamitin. Kasi nga, mas mura din sila. And the disadvantages is cannot be recycled and more expensive due to extra sealing, non-rechargeable, and low power. Since sila mag-leak sa pamamagitan ng acid electrolytes, pagka nag-react na to sa sink, yung baterya, kapag i-expose natin ang baterya, kailangan natin ng black na plastic bag. Doon natin siya ilalagay para hindi siya sasabog. At hindi rin stable yung voltage. Maiksilan din yung buhay nila at hindi rin stable yung voltage current nila. Yun lang po. Thank you.
So, good day, sir. Ngayon, bago tayo mag-proceed sa ating discussion. So, paano ba natin makukuha or makukompute yung kaya i-produce ng isang cell? So, by these three topics, which are cell potential, gives free energy, and the Nernst equation, so we will tackle about on how to calculate the specific cell and kung ilan or ano yung value na kaya niyang i-produce associated with galvanic and voltaic cell. So today, let's proceed to cell potential. Cell potential is a flow of electrons from high to low electrical potential. So ngayon, yung cell potential po is commonly known as is of cell is ano nga ba yung kukunin natin sa cell potential? So sa cell potential is mas attractive siya sa high electric potential to low potential. Kumbaga, um, para makuha yung stability um, ng isang current, kailangan muna siyang dumaloy sa high to low. Then yung channel or yung gap between the high and low electrical potential is what we call the potential difference. Yun yung kukunin natin or yun yung i-compute natin by the formula of is of cell equals is of or is of oxidation plus is of reduction. So nga pala, the higher the value of is of cell, so the higher is the current that it can produce. Kung ano yung kung mas malaki yung kaya i-produce na I mean kung malaki yung value ng is of cell, mas malaki yung kaya niyang i-produce na energy or current. Then, let's proceed to Gibbs free energy. Ngayon, sa Gibbs free energy naman ay Gibbs free energy naman, which commonly known as delta G naught. So, ano nga ba yung Gibbs free energy? So, Gibbs free energy is a thermodynamic potential that can be used to calculate maximum reversible work of a cell incapable of. Ngayon, kung sa cell potential is ang kinocompute natin is yung current na dumadaloy galing sa reaction, sa Gibbs free energy naman is i-compute natin yung pinaka-maximum or pinaka mataas na kayang i-produce ng isang cell. Ngayon, ano nga ba yung Gibbs free energy or a formula ng Gibbs free energy? So, okay, formula of Gibbs free energy is delta G naught equals negative NF E naught, where N is equals to moles of electrons exchange and the reaction. F is the Faraday's constant na may value na 96,485 joules over volume times molecule electron. And E naught is the standard cell potential. So, ano nga ba yung application ng Gibbs free energy? Sa Gibbs free energy is enables to predict the direction of the spontaneous change. It contrasts of the constant temperature and the pressure. So, the Gibbs free energy is these are their main application. So first, process simulation of distillation process, estimation of activity coefficient, useful for models such as NRTL or non-random to liquid, UNIQUAC or QUAC, which is the universal quasi-chemical, and the Wilson model. So the Gibbs free energy is also central to crystallization processes. So that is the application of the Gibbs free energy. Then punta naman na tayo sa we will go back ulit sa sa cell potential. So sa cell potential pala, saan natin siya ina-apply? Ano yung application ng cell potential sa our daily doings or our daily routines? So, saan ba siya ginagamit? Usually yung cell potential. Yung cell potential is usually a measurement to detect the end of point of titration of the cell consistent on an electrode. So, electrode is a cell potential whose depends to concentration of reactant ion. So, ano nga ba yung titration? So, yung titration is para siyang it is a process of chemical analysis of some constituent of a sample. So, ano nga ba yung titration? Ang titration is yung para siyang um, pattern ng ng daloy ng isang electrode. Para siyang dinedetect niya yung para siyang analysis um, ng daloy ng isang electrode. So, okay. So, let's proceed to the Nernst equation. So yung Nernst equation, ba't kaya natin sinali sa dito, which is yung pinaka main lang na lagi na kinukuha sa pag-calculate ng energy, the joules and the potential and the cell potential na kaya produce ng isang cell. But kaya, which is the Nernst equation is parang andyan na lahat. Parang kinombine siya na gives free energy and the cell potential. So what is Nernst equation first? So Nernst equation, it is an equation that relates the reduction potential of reaction or half cell or full cell reaction to the standard electrode potential, temperature, and activities. Activities of the chemical species undergoing reduction and oxidation. So, bago natin i-discuss yung application niya, I will discuss first the formula of the Nernst equation. So, formula is E equals to E naught minus R T ln Q over NF, where R E is equal to cell potential, E naught is the standard cell potential, and the reaction R is equals to universal gas constant, which has the value of 8.314 joules over molecule times Kelvin. Q is equals to reaction quotient, N equals to moles of reaction exchange, F equals to Faraday's 96,485 joules over volume times molecule electron. So ano nga ba yung pagkakaiba ng Nernst equation sa cell potential, sa standard cell potential? So sa Nernst equation is ang kinakalculate natin dito is yung cell potential. Ngayon, sa standard cell potential is nagbabari siya from the word itself, standard. So ibig sabihin, yung value ng atmosphere and the temperature and the pressure is standard or hindi nagbabago-bago. Dahil yung pressure sa inat is sa standard cell potential is 298 1 atmosphere, while the temperature is 298 Kelvin. Hindi siya nagbabago, while sa cell potential naman is pwede magbago yung pressure and the temperature. So ano nga ba yung application ng Nernst equation? So yung Nernst equation is commonly calculation of the solution pH, solubility, product, constant equilibrium, and other thermodynamic properties, and commonly used in potentiometric titration. So sa potentiometry or potentiometric titration is measured the voltage of relate to logarithm x, where x is the analyte. And lastly, this provides a method to analyze analytes over a broad concentration range. Okay, so that is the main mas ginagamit siya sa potentiometric potentiometric equation. Okay, so these three topics, which are the cell potential gives free energy and the Nernst equation, will usually teach us or gives us an idea by the formula on how to calculate the cell na kayang i-produce and calculate the energy, the joules, and the electrons na kaya i-produce ng isang cell and their application. And that's all. Thank you.